All right, everybody, welcome here outside of North Bend at exit 27, testing the all-new 2021 Orbea Rise. Came out here with Parker DeGray from Orbea to kind of go through some questions I have about the bike, show him my local zone. He is new to the Northwest, so I think this is a perfect place to introduce you to kind of the West Side riding on a bike that absolutely handled that.
I am the US marketing manager, so handle anything, visual here in the United States for Orbea bicycles. And reason I'm in this area is the riding. Honestly, I've heard amazing things. I've been able to visit a handful of times and it's, attracted me here.
Did you take any cues from your other bikes? I mean, what is there different? Is it from one, or do you have kind of subtle cues from the whole range?
Yeah, this bike is very similar to our Occam. It's 140 millimeters of travel. Very similar, its reach numbers, its head angle, all of that is very similar. It's got a 5 millimeter difference in chainstay length. That is essentially it. Where it differs is this has a motor, this has a battery, it's got a slightly different shock length, and it's got a little bit different visual appearance because it doesn't have the asymmetrical frame and the cross bracing that the Occam has, because we're able to get the strength and rigidity out of the frame with just this larger down tube that houses the battery, where with the other frame we used a cross brace to achieve the same goal in the end. So.
The trail we just rode, Cadrecel to Oregon to Gem State, and there are some sections in there where that 140, like you could see maybe you're finding that edge, but it never was shouting at you to slow down. Even that little gap we did where I was timid, and when I did it, I was like, oh, okay, like I found that this has been a very settled bike, but also that pop on some of those jumps that I didn't mess up and unclip, where was plenty supportive. And I think the testament to the leverage curve and that shock, and I really enjoyed putting that volume reducer in.
Yeah, the beauty of a trail bike, it's versatile, like it's fun on the climb, it's still snappy enough through the corners, and it jumps well. And when you want to get a little spicy, you still can. It's, fun for the entire ride, which is really cool. And here you can make use of all 140 pretty darn quick. And then you saw the fitment and adjustment factor, being able to fine tune that ride to exactly what you want. It's easy enough to do. So.
All right, well, out here trailside, about 2 hours into the shoot. We've been on upper 27, kind of riding some more modulating mellow terrain. And as we get down into the lower mountain, there's some bigger compressions, and I wanted to test out the bigger volume reducer. I'm sitting at 25% sag right now and still getting to the end of the stroke. And we're gonna go ahead and pop in the gray spacer, pull out the purple one, and Parker's gonna help me set up sag with a sweet little tool that he's gonna talk to you about.
Exactly, yeah, just aiming to get a little bit more support out of the bike to deal with these heavier transitions and different terrain styles, basically. So out of the box, the bike comes with a included spacer. It's the purple spacer from Fox. And then in the box, we include a gray spacer that allows you to reduce that volume, make it a little bit more progressive, have a little bit more support. So more aggressive, larger riders or people riding a little larger terrain.
I wasn't getting any harsh feedback from that rear end, and I think with that said, I can go with the same air pressure, throw the bigger reducer in there, and maybe get some more low end support.
Exactly. And easy enough to do, just trail side. You've got your shock pump, you've got your little reducer here, and we've got this cool little purple indicator tool that's got a 25 and a 30% pre-measured sag on here, so no tape measure necessary. You can play with this stuff trail side if you want to. So hook up that shock pump, let's drop some air pressure and do it.
Was 3,000 meters in eco, you said, for about a 160-pound person? Wow.
Yep. Yeah, you can get some real mileage out of this thing if you want to. You've got essentially 4 hours of average ride time in eco, and that sets down to 2 hours in boost of ride time, which is a heck of a lot of range. And if it's not enough, you just add a range extender to it, and At 252 watt hours, it's you know, almost 75% of that internal battery at 360. So it really adds some ride time to it. If you want to ride for 8 hours, it'll do that.
With that, what's going on if you can spill the beans inside that motor? How are you getting that much torque with that good of a range? I mean, it's not a small jump above everything else. It's a pretty significant jump.
To make a long story long, we were lucky enough to start this project right when Shimano started the EP8 project to begin with. And so we got in there at ground level at the beginning and were able to work in conjunction with Shimano to design our bike around this motor as Shimano was fine tuning it. And so it's an EP8 motor, but it has Orbea RS firmware. And so because we were able to get those two packages together, Shimano made this phenomenal motor that's already light. And then we were able to engineer a light frame, light bike around that with a special battery that we have also, you know, worked with Panasonic to design specifically for this bike. We were able to get super light package that's just optimized around how we want the bike to ride with that custom firmware. And it gets you the range, it gets you the power output, and it's a nice balance, really. Yeah. So everything came together to be very efficient.
So we've briefly covered rider synergy and that concept that Orbea has implemented on this bike. We've mentioned it. Kind of give us a little bit more in depth of, you know, what this is, where did that ethos come from, and how maybe do you see it evolving as this bike evolves?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's this idea of enough power. It's just an addition to your effort. And so basically it is meant to echo your effort. It's meant to just add to your ride. And so that's everything from it being low weight, everything from it being a non-cluttered cockpit. It feels like a normal bike. It's not dominating your ride in any way with screens, with flashy lights, with buttons, with all this, you know, kind of overflow of information. It's just like riding, and then it goes down now to it being a lightweight bike and then a smooth, natural power feel. As you're increasing cadence, the motor will pick up and will fill in that as well. And so it's a very natural curve to how the bike applies power. A normal e-bike applies power around like a 40 to 60 cadence, which is really low. And this bike applies power with the RS philosophy around 70 to 90 cadence. And so this is more of your normal spin on a bike. And again, as you're kind of increasing that spin, it is going to follow that and give you a little bit more juice. I kind of coined it, it basically feels like being fresh all the time. It feels like a really good leg day where you're really coming into it. That's how the bike just feels.
End of summer, fully fit.
Exactly, exactly. You're peaking and the bike's just kind of, you know, there to echo that. But that's exactly it. It's just not trying to take you for a ride. And then if at any point you want to fine tune that further, you have the ability to use all the amazing tools that Shimano has given us with the E-Tube app, where you can fine tune exactly how the power rolls on, with how it starts, or with how each of the 3 different modes feels. And you can really make it exactly what you want. And you can store different profiles if you ride in the rain or the sand or these other places frequently. You can set up what you want, store a profile, and always have it there for a quick adjustment.
And with that profile, you know, is that going to be also affected by rider weight? So if you're a heavier guy or gal, you want that power to come in a little stronger because the bike doesn't know that there's, you know, a heavier rider up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, gravity affects us all, and it affects us all in different ways. There are 2 maps preloaded onto the bike. You've got Profile 1 and you've got Profile 2. Profile 1 is the true RS philosophy. It's a little bit lighter roll-on. It's a smoother power application. Profile 2 has a little bit more punch to it. It's got a little bit more excitement. People who want a little bit zestier power output, that's what they want. Or larger riders will need just a little bit more pickup to offset gravity, and that Profile 2 will fit them a little bit better. So they're just there, set up right out of the box if you wanted to play with those, again, with a quick attachment of the app. And if you want to, again, through Maya or through your Shimano retailer, you can add the display to this bike. It's just a quick plug and play, and that'll allow you to adjust the profiles on the fly.
What about availability right now? You know, we're coming into summer. I can see myself wanting one of these. You know, I'm sure anyone that puts a leg over that is going to have that same feeling. Can we get them at local dealers, in the US specifically?
So Orbea is an interesting company because, for a multitude of reasons, other than us being a cooperative, us being employee owned, us being a European manufacturer. But that being said, we're a manufacturer, we're making bikes, and we make bikes to order. We're a just-in-time manufacturer. So bikes are always being produced. It's not that the warehouse is cleaned out in the US and the bikes are gone. We're always filling orders for our dealers. They have 8, 10, 12 shipments of bikes coming per year, and they're always trickling in.
Awesome. And for me, looking at how you mentioned earlier, if I go to my dealer, being in this area, not wanting that tire, wanting the 150, being able to walk into a dealer and say, hey, these are the changes that I want to make. I'm willing to wait that production time to get exactly what I want. Or maybe there's a bike there that can be part swapped, or even get the stock model because I want to ride tomorrow, and then go through the program and rechange some of that stuff.
Yep, absolutely. And you can go even further, and you can go onto our website and you can purchase a bike via click and collect if you want. Again, you can do a custom Myo color, and that's something that only changes lead time, but it does not change price. You can put your name on the thing if you want, which is phenomenal. And there are thousands and thousands of color options available to make it exactly what you want.
So from a consumer standpoint, that is something to be aware of. It's a little different, and it allows you to pick and choose to get what you want out of a bike, to build something exactly to your riding area. And I think that's what really, not only that aspect of everything else we've discussed, sets this bike apart and makes it a really unique offering in a very crowded world.
Yeah, exactly. We try and stand out with just those little intricate changes, those little touches that allow us to react and be the bike that you really want, and instead of you having to settle for something that's out there.
Totally. Well, I really appreciate all the insight, and I think we have enough time possibly to go do another lap and make some more out of this bike. We really appreciate you tuning in, and we hope to see you out on the trails.